Kevin McCullough.
Final few minutes with my very good friend Jane Ann Benaira, fitness instructor, Pilates instructor, yoga instructor. She does box too. I have it on good authority. And Jane Ann, we've been talking about the mind. We're in the early part of the year. We want to do the year well. You know, I don't think there's a human being that wakes up and goes, "How can I not flourish today?" Like I just don't think that's. We may have a lot of junk that gets in our way and prevents us from flourishing, but I don't think it's in our hearts to not want to. The question is, can we overcome the obstacles, sometimes the fears that are within us, and sometimes it's the problems of other people that can roll up into what we may set out as a great plan for ourselves, and then it doesn't exactly work out that way. So how do you balance people, my own expectations and fears? Once I've said I'm out of alignment, I've done the inventory, I know where I need to focus and kind of what I need to do, but now I got to have the courage to do it, and I've got to do it sometimes in the face of others when they want to pull at me too. So what's your best advice in those scenarios?
I have to remind myself this all the time. It is so hard for me to speak up for myself. It is so hard for me. And I think most people are in the same boat. I'm actually really envious of people that, maybe envy isn't the right word. It gives me inspiration when someone speaks up for what they want. And it reminds me of looking at it from the other side. Well, if that gives me inspiration, then why am I not doing that for myself? Because in reality, if you speak up for yourself and say what your needs are, it's actually like a trust between people. Like, okay, I know where they stand. So there's also, like you said, I mean, other people in your life. I live in a very busy household. I have 4 kids. They need a lot from me, but I also want to show them that there's times you just have to say no. Like, I cannot do that today, and teach them the lessons as well that, again, speaking up for yourself. I've had a long day. I cannot do any more for anybody today, and that's okay. Does that?
I just hear moms all across the country going, "Yeah, you go, girl."
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
You said earlier, can there be any more laundry? Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it with my lovely bride. I mean, we've only got 3 kids, but she goes hard, and but she has been able to balance some of that with a more physically fit kind of focus to some of her life. I think spiritual stuff also plays heavily into this, and this is why I think that if someone does not have a relationship with God in some way, I think there's resources there to help me also focus on some of this stuff and how to, because you don't want to ultimately live a life that's like just for myself.
Right.
And I don't, all the rest of you can go to where, because that doesn't help me either. Like you were talking about the balance, and it's understanding where that balance is for me, so that I can then best be equipped to love and serve my kids, so that I can best be equipped to love and serve my bride or whoever. Like, I want to be healthy, not just to be a selfishly healthy person, but so that I can be everything that God made me to be, and to help them flourish as well. I go back to the idea of human flourishing. I really think it's an important part of why we were made. And I think we all have purposes to achieve. But if we don't get past some of the junk that gets in the way, then we never get to that point. And we miss out on the joy of what that ultimately can look like and how that can be created. I don't know if that makes any sense.
That makes all the sense. My mind's going in a million different directions. You said it in like such a good way. You had me think of a lot of different things, which is why we talk like this. And that's like, the more we talk about things like this, other people are going to hear what they need to hear.
Right.
And I feel like that to me is a big spiritual practice, like hearing whatever you hear, whatever you take out of this, whatever plants, that's that little seed. And
even to some degree, self-awareness isn't as much a talent as it is a skill that has to be developed.
Yeah, it's a muscle, right?
To hear your body. Like, I remember when I first started taking yoga, our friend Lucy, who is the head yogi at the Lifetime where we go, she would talk about listening to your body. And, I came out of a high school athletic background, and guys are tough and we tough it out and all the rest of that. Well, that's not necessarily good. Like if you're straining a muscle, you shouldn't keep straining the muscle. Like that's bad. You're going to have counterproductive health because you were the tough guy. So understanding and hearing that, and I've gotten better at that over time. Like, and maybe I'm just getting so old that my body's just yelling at me all the time now. But you gotta be able to do that. But that requires practice, and I think being self-aware of your mental and emotional health takes practice as well.
A lot, and I've gone through the same experience with yoga, where I first started hearing that, and at first it sounds like, well, there's the obvious: I hurt my back, I hurt my knee. But then you get, like you said, you refine the skill, you build this muscle to noticing small things like my throat. And I don't mean a sore throat. I mean like a little sensation here, like that's a block of communication. When your chest hurts, oh, that's because, another emotion is here. Our body is amazing. It's this complicated system that gives us warnings all the time, little subtle warnings. If your stomach hurts all the time, if your feet, it's trying to tell you something, and it's a built skill. It takes a while.
Well, I think when you're young, you ignore a lot of it just because you have adrenaline and you're on fire and just life is happening and everything's good. But I am noticing that as I get older, and even my heart changes. Like I want different things now than I did even 10 years ago. I want more for my kids. I want to do more for my kids. I want to be more involved in their life. I want to make sure that I leave them a legacy. I want to make sure, I'm not talking about financially. I would love to be able to do that, but I want to leave them a legacy of a father who cared about them and was involved in their lives, and they have that strength to draw upon, when they're parents someday. Because I hear things my parents said to me in my head all the time. But anyway, all right. Well, Jane Ann, this has been very helpful. And friends, if you would like to re-listen to this, just go to the podcast section of any of your favorite aggregators and look for That Kevin Show. Jane Ann Banyra, her last name is spelled Banyra, but look for Jane Ann, and we'll have this up there, and you can download it and re-listen again and again. But Jane Ann, come back and see us again. We appreciate it.
I'd love to.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.